Welcome back to Casuals Corner, and today we're going to be going through one of the hottest topics of conversations in mixed martial arts. He's a slight hybrid between Conor McGregor and Khabib, Khamzat Chimaev. And before we jump into the video, you know what we do over here on Casuals Corner. We bring you daily MMA content on all our platforms, behind the scenes footage, interviews, day-to-day updates and articles as well. So hit the like, the subscribe and the little bell icon. Anyway, let's jump into the video. So, Khamzat Chimaev, like I said, little bit of a Conor McGregor Khabib feel to it. He has that Mystic Mac side of where everything he says has become true in his first however many fights of the UFC, 4 he has. And then he has the Khabib side where it's a little bit stoic and he's a little bit matter of fact, and some people will probably mistake that for arrogance, but he's not really that arrogant because everything he said, he's done. And until he has a moment where that isn't true, I can't really call him arrogant. So I'm quite a big fan of Khamzat, I'm not going to lie. Obviously he's training out of All Stars Gym and he was fluctuating at the start between welterweight and middleweight. I loved that. Firstly, I thought that was incredible, and I still think, another video's time, but I still think he's a threat to the middleweight division. But my point being, he's very exciting, and when I say stoic and matter of fact, it's like what we saw in the interview when someone said, "Oh, you talk a lot." He said, "No, you talk a lot. You asked me a lot of questions and I answered them." And he said that, and that one hit home a little bit. And I thought, you know what? You've actually hit the nail on the head. He's so exciting, and what he's doing is so special. There's so much hype around him. He's got more followers than Kamaru Usman on Instagram. He's massive, but you have the government making sure that he doesn't retire. He's huge. He's a star. And he keeps getting asked questions and he keeps answering the questions. But everything he's answered has been true. So he's a bit of a problem. So who does he fight next is the massive question. And that's why you've come to this video. Who does he fight next? Now, the obvious answer for a lot of people would be Leon Edwards, right? Leon Edwards obviously having that fight booked. And now Jorge Masvidal has dropped out. Conveniently, by the way, a day or two after Colby said about the Ultimate Fighter. And then an undisclosed injury. Sounded a little bit suspect. So, anyway, we'll come back to being on topic. Jorge Masvidal dropped out, and then Leon Edwards didn't have a fight. Khamzat said, "I will fight." Put his hand up as quick as he saw the news. Even the screenshots were leaked. My bag's packed. I'm in the airport. He was running to the airport, probably. Is how I imagine it, to be honest, in my head. If not, just swims over. He's just excited to fight, and Leon Edwards was a little bit less than excited to hear all that conversation. Now, I know that didn't come out publicly, but if I were to guess, and I love Leon Edwards, you were going to be a little bit skeptical of that. Okay, my opponent's dropped out, and now I've got one of the potentially most exciting fighters in the UFC on a 4-fight win streak in the UFC, and he's not even been punched. I'm on a 9-fight win streak. I've waited a lot of time for this moment. I'm gonna fight Kamaru Usman. Probably not. So I think that one went out the window a little bit quickly. Undoubtedly. So then the question became Gilbert Burns. Now I think Gilbert Burns is the perfect matchup for Khamzat. I think if we're all going to be honest with ourselves, we know that one more fight was probably not really necessary. Let's be honest. If he wasn't going to be fighting that top 5, we saw what he'd done to a 10, and it was so dominant and so outrageous, and we've seen all of that. But we sort of knew. You never know, but you knew a little bit. So Gilbert Burns is a very, very good matchup, and I like that stylistically. When I say stylistically, I don't even mean stylistically. I just mean Gilbert Burns is obviously going to be the best person he's ever fought. Gilbert Burns has tremendous jiu-jitsu, one of the highest level jiu-jitsu practitioners we have in the UFC. So that poses a bit more of a problem. And Gilbert Burns is a nice striker, and I think the only thing separating him from a belt on that night with Usman was emotion, and I think now he's removed that. We saw that in the Wonderboy fight. He didn't get emotional, he just done his job. And people say, "Oh, it was a terrible performance." It wasn't an exciting performance, but he grounded one of the best strikers we've ever seen in the UFC consistently and done enough to win the fight. So fight IQ. the only thing that was lacking from the Usman fight. So now I look at that matchup between Usman and Gilbert Burns. There's a lot of conversations with welterweight titles at the moment, but Gilbert Burns, I think, is one of the most dangerous matchups for him. Saying that, we have Khamzat Chimaev. Now, like I said, we know his credentials on the ground. We know them. He's so dominant. He's so aggressive. He's so unaccepting of any position that isn't doing more damage than the last. And that's what you have to love about him. If he's not going for a submission, he's ground and pounding you, taking you down, picking you up, throwing you down. And he's very, very well rounded. And the thing that I can never get over, and I always say on every video, but multiple sources have openly come out and said he ragdolls Gustafsson. Ragdolls him in training. Gustafsson. And let me tell you, he's not walking around at 205. Certainly not at the moment, out of camp. I know he had the Paul Craig camp, but he's definitely not in at the moment. So he's a he's a heavyweight size, and Khamzat's ragdolling him. It goes to show what we're dealing with here. So I think Gilbert Burns is the matchup, but I think he'll be too much. I genuinely do. I don't want to say it again, but I think he's too much for everyone in that division at the moment. As much as that kills me because I want Leon Edwards to get that strap, I do. I just think he overpowers anyone in that division at the moment. But the question always remains. The question always remains with someone like this. But they've never fought a and then input high caliber guy. But we've seen it. It's a little bit like every time people were trying to fight Max Holloway and they were going, oh, he's never fought her, and then he'd beat him. And then Kelvin Cater, there you go, perfect example. So this is an exciting one. Obviously, it's not even been announced yet, and we'll see in the coming days who it's going to be, I'm sure. But that's what we're looking for. That's what I'm hoping for, actually. And let me know your thoughts in the comment. And like I said before, hit the like, the subscribe, and the little bell icon to stay up to date with the content. And thank you for all your engagement. I need to go because my stomach is rumbling very loud. That probably picked up. Peace.